Welcome back to the Habit-Based Lifestyle Podcast. I'm your host, Jesse Ewell, and today we're going to be talking about sustainable health habits. We have a very special guest, Maggie Berghoff, and Maggie helps CEOs, influencers to biohack their bodies, their routines, so they can boost energy and reach peak performance in their lives. So Maggie, thank you for being on here today. I want to welcome you.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me on your podcast.
Yeah, so I'm excited. Like I read up on your story, very inspiring, and I'm just excited to do this interview. So, tell me a little bit about kind of like where you started. Like now, we know you're into biohacking and coaching, but like where did this really all start?
Well, so I'm a nurse practitioner by trade.
Okay.
So I graduated from Vanderbilt University, had my nurse practitioner degree, and actually worked in the hospital system for years before I launched my private virtual practice that I have now. I practiced in a traditional medical model. That's how I was trained as pre-med and then nurse practitioner. And actually now I have totally shifted to a functional medicine model, which is more lifestyle, nutrition, gut health, getting to the root cause of why you're having all those nagging symptoms and actually reversing them. So how I got into that is really my own health decline when I was about 22 and the traditional med docs not knowing what the heck to do. And I had to really find my own answers. And I found that through functional medicine.
Okay. So were you going through college at the time for this, or did this just kind of come up as you were going through college?
The functional medicine portion happened kind of a little bit towards the end. So I was in graduate school when my body started to have symptoms of weight gain. I was bloated all the time. I was super tired, even though I was sleeping like 8 to 10 hours. And I just was not myself at all. So I started to find functional medicine from an aunt who had known about it. She goes to a functional medicine practitioner. Before then, I had never heard of it.
Okay.
And I started looking into it. I enrolled into the Institute for Functional Medicine, which is where I got my training in my last year of graduate school. So a little bit of overlap, but didn't start practicing for a few years afterward.
Okay, so at 22 years old, I think you said that you'd gained 50 pounds or around that, in between that, and then you had a mini stroke also. So like what was that like for you at that time, being 22? I think the last thing we really think about is having health issues, but like what was that like for you back then?
Yeah, so it was super frustrating because I am like a type A go-getter, high achiever. And for my body to kind of fail me and just all of a sudden out of nowhere crash and blow up, if I was eating something like healthy, I would be eating something I've eaten my whole life just fine. And then I would eat that item and just get so bloated and so swollen and start this weight gain process. So it was really frustrating and scary when I was going to doctors and they were telling me everything's normal. And I'm inside like screaming, everything is not normal. Like, look at me. I'm so tired. I can't even stay awake. I'm swelling up after eating simple, healthy things. And so it was really scary and frustrating. I really had to kind of step it up and go at it on my own.
Okay. And so, maybe some of our listeners on here are like, maybe they're in a similar situation. So what did you go to the doctor and they say, hey, everything's fine. So did you start researching, more doctors? Did you start trying to find, how did you actually find, the right person? Did you have to go through several people?
So many people. So I was in the traditional medicine model. So by that, I mean like just your normal doctor's office. And
right.
So my normal doctor couldn't find anything wrong. They sent me to a specialist who sent me to a different specialist who sent me to a different specialist. So they were all trying to tackle the thyroid or hormones or gut or brain, like all these different specialists, but no one could figure out what was going on. And I actually even ended up going to Cleveland Clinic for like a 3-day overnight type of stay where they just do a ton of testing and they figure you out. And I was like, yes, this is awesome. I'm going to get all my answers. And I remember literally hoping that they would find a tumor or something so I could at least know why this is happening. And of course, everything came back normal. There were some abnormals, but the abnormals on the testing that they did They're like, oh yeah, this is horribly off. This is, this is really, really bad. Your levels are horrid. This is what we see in super diseased clients. Oh, but we don't know why. Here, try this medication and maybe it will help with your symptoms. I was told that I would have to be on IV immunoglobulins the rest of my life because I was so immunodeficient. And no one was asking why. Like, why is this otherwise healthy young girl having all these things? Like, they were just so quick to just put me on the pills or put me on the IVs. So it was at that point where I decided that this is enough. Like, this has gone way too far. I'm not going to try another doctor. I'm not going to try another specialist. I'm going to check into this thing my aunt had talked to me about called functional medicine, where they really just investigate. It's like a detective looking inside of your body, my body, to find out why these pathways are going crazy and then healing them instead of covering them up with pills.
Right. Yeah, I always think of kind of the traditional model of, doctors and medicine as a reactive model of treating someone. And I think of it the same way kind of in traditional physical therapy is very reactive. It's like treating the symptom, not necessarily the cause, and going deeper. And so as I hear you saying this, I'm kind of like, okay, like, the traditional model of medicine is to treat the symptom and not the cause. Mm-hmm. And, what I've seen just in the last like 5 to 10 years is people really diving deeper into, okay, well, what's going on underneath this, and really getting to what's really happening. And so as you started to discover this, like, what did you find out?
Well, I found out, first of all, that it's never one thing. I was looking for the one thing. Like, what is the one thing that's going wrong? It's never one thing. It's a whole body experience. Your organs are all connected together. So I found out that I had a lot of autoimmunity and inflammation going on in my body. And that's what was hurting my thyroid, my hormones, my adrenal gland, my gut, my liver, my kidney. That's what was hurting everything. So it took taking a big step back and not trying to focus on the one thing, taking a big step back and just starting from scratch. It was like this huge weight lifted off my shoulder. I was like super dramatic at one point and threw away all of my supplements that previous doctors had me on, which is a side note. We'll talk about supplementations later, but I like threw them all away and I was like, I'm starting fresh from the very basics. Let's get the toxins out of my life. Let's get this inflammation down. What foods am I intolerant to, even healthy ones? I found out that I was like intolerant to lemons and I was drinking lemon juice every day thinking I was healthy. So like getting the inflammation out from all areas of my life so I could clear the muddy water and my body could actually start to heal itself.
Okay. And how long of a period did this actually take for you?
Once I figured it out, less than 6 months. But I did hire somebody to walk me through that process. And I'm a huge advocate on that. Coaches need coaches. Athletes need trainers. Like, you need to have somebody walking you through the process. So I knew what I wanted to do, how I wanted to heal my body. I hired somebody who had very similar beliefs as me and who could help me out with my blind spots. And he led me through the process. In less than 6 months, I was totally back to normal. My labs are pristine now. I was told I was infertile. I've had 2 healthy natural pregnancies. Everything's just like it had never happened, which is crazy considering that the doctors who I had been seeing these top specialists in the world were telling me basically I was going to be sick for the rest of my life.
Yeah. Wow. That's amazing that, you hear people all the time talk about, well, I'm sick or I have this disease. But then it's like, well, how do you know you have that just because someone told you that? And, one of the things that I've noticed with this is people tend to believe what the doctors always tell them. And so whether they really have the disease or not, it's kind of like they just go on medication and they kind of go on autopilot. Yeah. And they never actually really challenge that. And I don't want to discredit any doctor or anything like that, but I also want people to realize that, like, we know our bodies better than anybody else. And if we're willing to be open to the idea of actually diving in to get to know our body and maybe sometimes just asking our body what it needs, we can begin to shift any disease that we may have and begin to find the answers that you're looking for. And that's really what I'm hearing you say is like, listen, I wasn't going to take no for an answer, and take this on as like, this is something I was going to have the rest of my life. And so you chose to actually do something and just find another way. And that's really cool for your story. So
Yeah, the body wants to heal. So
yeah,
willing to, like you said, give it hope and give it a little helping hand, it'll do the job for you.
yeah. So how long, this happened at 22, like, how long did it take you, kind of that whole progress to get to where all of a sudden, you're healthy and you're like, okay, now I got this figured out?
So it took me about a little less than 6 months to heal myself. And then I knew after that, there's no way I can keep on seeing clients at this doctor's office. And I was managing 9 clinics in town as a nurse practitioner. We were staffed by NPs, not doctors. So I was in charge of a bunch of clinics, a lot of people, and they were coming to me and they were like on all these medications. They had no desire to heal their bodies. They just wanted a quick fix pill, but then they were coming back and the pill wasn't even helping them anymore. So
Right.
It was just chaos that I wasn't wanting to be involved with anymore. So it took 2 years that I hired a mentor. I'm big on hiring people to get you to where you want to go, if you haven't noticed. So I hired a mentor who had a virtual health consulting practice to teach me the way. And I worked on that. I actually took maternity leave from my first child. And during maternity leave, I built the entire business. And I said, I'm not going back full time. I'm going back part time. And I'm launching this business this year. So I went back part time after maternity leave. And then 8 months later, I totally quit my job and went full force into virtual land. And that's what I've been doing now.
Wow, that's awesome. How long have you been doing that?
About 2 years.
Okay, cool. So, you decide to do this on your own. Never being an entrepreneur before, I'm taking it. The one key thing I heard you say is like, listen, I invested in a coach, which to me is like, hey, maybe you can figure it out on your own, but it usually takes 10 times longer and it's a lot more expensive by doing it on your own versus just hiring a coach to kind of help you along the way. And so like, I'm big on that too. I would say in the last 5 years, I've probably invested over $250,000 in coaching and training. So that to me is like a huge thing. But also I heard you say a couple times is like, listen, like I wanted to figure this out. And so I went and hired the right person to show me how I could figure it out that much faster. And that's, to me, like if you're a coach, you have to have coaches. Otherwise, it's like you don't really believe in what you're actually selling and trying to help people with. And so I think that's really cool. And that's one of the first things I look at whenever I hire a coach is like, well, who's your coach?
Mm-hmm.
So now you are married. You have 2 kids. What is that like for you? And did this bring anything up as far as like health conditions or anything like that when you were pregnant or after you had kids?
Yeah, so I adore my little family. I have a 2-year-old and an almost 3-month-old. And when health-wise, I felt phenomenal. Like I loved being pregnant. I was sick with my first as far as nauseous, but my second, I wasn't even nauseous at all. And I believe it's because I had that much more time for my body to fully heal itself. But everything else has been perfect. So I had Hashimoto's, which is a thyroid disease, before the first pregnancy during this whole health decline. And throughout both pregnancies, my thyroid has stayed perfect. I've never had to take any thyroid medications. Like my body was really able to handle the stressors of a pregnancy. And it's really been great to see the balance of motherhood and being a wife and owning a business kind of combined together, because my health, I practice what I preach. My health is at the forefront of all of it. If I was tired and bloated and groggy and headachy and had anxiety and all this kind of stuff, would I be a great mom? No. Would I be a great wife? No. Would I even be able to have a business? No. There's no way I'd be able to help any of the people I want to help. So prioritizing myself has been key in maintaining that health physically within myself.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what is kind of your daily routine look like?
Gosh, well, nowadays with a 3-month-old, my morning routine consists of snuggles and feeds, basically. But I do try to get in the same things each day. So I'm nourishing my body with what it needs to be nourished by. And I do believe in testing. I never just guess. Like you said, hiring and just like knowing the data for my own body will save me 5 to 10 years of trying to guess of what may make me feel the best.
Right.
So I, for example, my food intolerances every year. And I know very clearly which foods are nourishing for me and which ones are inflaming for me. So I'm giving my body what it needs to thrive. That's one thing I do every single day. Another habit that I do is always get outside. The sun, the fresh air, grounding in the grass is so important for our physical body. It really helps our pathways. It activates what's called mitochondria, which are the energy cells in your body. And it stimulates your biological clock. Your circadian rhythm is what it's called, which helps not just with daytime metabolism and energy, but with nighttime sleep, getting great restful quality sleep. And those are like a few easy free things that I do every single day to make sure that I'm staying really, really healthy.
Okay. And one of the, things that we talk about is like this circadian rhythm gets thrown off because of, computer screens, iPhones, and all that stuff. And people tend to look at those all day. And then also vitamin D is a huge thing. And people think that, hey, if I just supplement with vitamin D, everything's going to be great. But the one thing they forget about is they could go outside and get a better, more natural, organic resource of vitamin D. We tend to look at supplements as ways to try to get in what we need, and it doesn't really change a whole lot is what I've noticed, taking supplements of something where we could naturally get it outside in the environment. Supplements are, great, but like, what is your take on supplements?
Yeah, so they help us boost levels if we absolutely need to. So I don't have anybody on supplements if we haven't tested their nutrient levels. Like if you're taking an antibiotic supplement, like an herbal, like oregano oil or something, a lot of people do this for gut health. Like I want to know why, like what bacteria you're trying to target there. Do you even need that? And with vitamin D as well, I believe that there's a time and place for supplementations, just like there's a time and place for pharmaceuticals.
Right.
But we need to make sure that we're healthy with them and we have a good balance. So for like me, my body is fully healthy right now. Like my labs look amazing. I feel amazing. I take supplements as needed. So if I am feeling a little groggy, or if I'm going to be traveling a lot and I want to boost my immune system, right now I'm taking a few supplements to help heal my stomach from the pregnancy, like the actual tissues of my stomach lining. So really targeted supplementation. But it doesn't even have to be from a pill. For example, vitamin D, you said. First of all, vitamin D, if you want to boost your levels, liquid vitamin D drops, hands down, added K needs to be in there to help absorption. The pills just don't do the trick. So you want to make sure, first of all, you have the right kind. And second of all, you can get vitamin D from, even if you can't go outside. Say you're somewhere and you're like, I'm not going outside, or I'm too busy, I never see the light of the day, my job is too hectic, blah, blah, blah. You can be getting UVB light inside. I have people make this homemade UVB structure that helps to stimulate vitamin D synthesis. And I've tested before and after the usage of the device, and their vitamin D skyrockets. So literally, you can have this device right here by my computer. I could be getting healthy vitamin D all day, no excuses. So you can still do it through other means other than just a pill, potion, or powder.
Now, do you use like Juve lights, stuff like that? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, so this is separate than Juve light. So there's so many different lights. So Juve light is red light, and I do use red light therapy. I use infrared light therapy. I have an infrared sauna. The UVB light is a different structure that has these special light bulbs in specifically for vitamin D synthesis.
Okay, awesome. So talk to me kind of about how long have you had your business?
About 2 years.
Okay, and tell me kind of like the whole process of this, because I just started my own coaching business back in December after, coaching men for a company called Wake Up Warrior for like 3.5 years. And then I also was in the personal training industry and owned my own gyms for 20 years. I was in that. So it's been interesting, getting out into this space of just coaching and kind of biohacking. But what has this been like for you, your journey of opening your own business?
Honestly, it's been really fun and easy. So I have accelerated very fast in my business, but it's because I'm willing to put in the time and money to invest in it. So like I said earlier, if I want to create an online course, I'm not going to sit and Google how to create the online course forever and try to figure it out myself. I'm hiring somebody to teach me, somebody who's already done it to just teach me, because I believe it's my obligation to get my gifts, my knowledge into the world and to help people. And I can't do that without somebody helping me to get there. So
Right.
that makes it so much easier. Yes, I'm investing money. Yes, I have spent thousands and thousands of dollars on my business. However, the return of that is helping people faster, having more flexibility in my work schedule, less stress, just knowing what to do instead of trying to figure out what to do. So extreme clarity. And of course, monetizing. It's brought me a lot of income that will far surpass what I would ever make in the traditional medical model as a nurse practitioner or even a doctor. So that's like my biggest tip for any business owner who's looking to get into this consulting, coaching world is hire somebody who has done it before you to just show you the way, because it's been very easy.
Awesome. And is there one person that you feel like has really helped you the most, or I mean, is it like a bunch of different people?
So a bunch of different people. I have so many amazing mentors who have worked with me in the past several years, from building the virtual practice to getting me on national television and in major publications like Entrepreneur and Forbes, to like actually the healing clients thing. Learning new functional medicine protocols, what supplements to use, which ones not to use. Everybody has helped shape who I am in the business that I've built and the product that I can now provide to clients.
Okay. So one of the things that I read about a little bit was you have this thing called the Total Body Blueprint. What exactly is that? How does that actually help someone?
Okay, so the Total Body Blueprint is kind of like a deep immersion of what it's like to work with me, actually. So most of my clients hired me on for a 6-month retainer. We rebalance their body. They're good to go at the end. They don't need me anymore. Now, if you're like, oh, 6 months is a little much to invest my time, my effort, I just want to know the data. That's what the immersion is for. It literally gives you the data on your body. So we're doing functional medicine testing, checking nutrient levels, food intolerance, gut health, metabolism rate, heavy metals, everything. And then I compile all of that information about your body, combined with a big questionnaire set that's telling me everything, your goals, your history, your past, what meds you're on, everything. And we do a big 90-minute immersion call where I plot out this next 6 months of your life, basically as if we were working together for 6 months in my private program, but you self-pace, you learn, you do it on your own. It's more of a self-learning structure, and then we're just together for 30 days. But it's super, super cool. A lot of people love that option. Just give me the info, give me what to do, and I got it.
Okay, awesome. And so then you have kind of an elite level program that is more of the one-on-one. Someone is with you, I'm guessing, for a minimum 6 months, one-on-one. You guys work together.
Yeah, so I work with a lot of high-end business owners, entrepreneurs, celebrities, athletes, and we're together for a 6-month period, one-on-one. We're doing the lab testing, of course. We're also getting their environment on point. So like if they're traveling, their home environment, I want to make sure anything that we can handle and we can up level, we're doing it so that their body can handle the stresses of flying different time zones 3 times in 1 week, or going out to a 5-course dinner and not being able to choose what you're consuming. So that's a really cool program. We're meeting each other about 2 or 3 times every single month, and we have all access to each other. So it's like very intimate every step of the way. We're also doing detox protocols, which is I love detoxing. So it's so fun to put these people through detoxifications and, see what comes out of their body and how they feel when they're cleansed and lightened up and feeling really, really rejuvenated.
Let's talk about detox, because there's a lot of, detox. There's a lot of, supplements where people will be like, oh, do this detox. But no one ever really gives you hey, here's the reason why you either need this detox or don't need this. But what is kind of maybe one of your go-to detoxes that you feel like, most of your clients need?
So first of all, I never detox a client when they first come on with me. So my clients are first nourishing their body fully. They are getting so healthy, they feel amazing, and then we detox, or else you may actually get worse. So
Okay.
if you're not ready for detox and you're releasing all these toxins and they have nowhere to go because your detox pathway 3 isn't activated, your pathways aren't activated, they're just going to float around. They're going to be alive and angry now and get reabsorbed back into your body worse than before. So that's the first thing, is timing of the detoxification. The second thing is we always do a gut detox before we do anything else, because we need the gut to be so strong and moving to get the toxins out of the body. So we do a 7-day gastrointestinal detox followed by a 5-day liver gallbladder detox. Every single person goes through it. People have been releasing like major gallstones they had no idea they had, and just getting rid of all this sluggish excess that are keeping you from up-leveling your life.
Wow. Okay. So, the typical cleanse that most people do, where they're like, these crazy packets and powders they do at the grocery stores, like it's not the best thing for people to do. Can you kind of explain like a little bit? Because I know a lot of people that just do this because, they see something on an infomercial and it's like, oh my gosh, this is good.
Yeah. So first of all, you need to know that your body detox pathways are able to detox what you're giving it. So we find that out through testing. So if you don't know, then you may be doing more harm than good. Second of all, you need to do the work of why your body was able to get so toxic. So if you don't reverse that reason why, the root causes that you feel you need a detox, then you're just going to get toxic again and again and again and not maintain health. So for example, if your body, say you have a gut bacteria, if your body was able to have a gut bacteria, to grow that bacteria or parasite or whatever it may be, your body's unhealthy. And just detoxing it, yeah, you'll probably get rid of that bacteria, maybe. Like you'll get cleansed out, you'll feel good for a couple weeks, lose a couple pounds. But your body's going to get bacteria the next time it's exposed to it because it can host that. So what we're doing is we're doing the work up front to rebalance your body, to make it so healthy that it literally cannot host bad things. It detoxes anything that comes its way. Like our air pollution is horrible, but your body will be able to detox it because it's healthy. So just doing those 3-day detoxes that you find on the store, maybe you're going to feel good for a couple days, couple weeks, but not long term. So in my opinion, why not raise the bar for yourself and actually create a strong, healthy body?
Sure. So when you test people for this, is it like blood work? Is it questionnaires? Like, how do you actually test people for this?
So yes, we fill out questionnaire forms, which helps me with my clinical knowledge to kind of do the detective work on you. But I'm quantifying. So I want blood work. We take hair samples. Sometimes we do urine, saliva, whatever we're looking for, even stool samples. So I have clients a lot of times actually send in stool samples, not to me, but to the lab, that we're actually testing their poop to see what parasites, what bacteria, what enzymes, what levels are we working with, so that I can know exactly what to do for their body. See, if I would give like a one-size-fits-all plan to them, maybe they'll get better, maybe they won't. But if I know exactly what to do for their body, it's so freaking easy. We just give the body what it needs and the body heals itself. It makes my job really easy too.
Yeah, I know, nowadays there's a lot of testing for like microbiome, and even the poop samples you're talking about, like they have that everywhere.
Yeah.
But like one of the other things I heard you talking about is like, that's kind of your body detox, but what about environmental detox? When we're talking about somebody's home, when we're talking about, we can maybe start with someone's home and then we'll go to business after that.
Yeah, so I actually have 6 environmental toxin areas that I cover in my practice. And actually, if you would like your audience, I can send them a PDF of everything and they can self-pace and learn this. It's actually, I go through this with my private one-on-one clients. But
That would be awesome. Yeah.
I never meant, I'd be happy to do that. So we're going through air, water, light, sound, EMF, electromagnetic frequencies like the phone, the computer stuff, and of course food. So before testing even comes back, we are knocking in all of these areas to make sure that we're optimizing what we can and making little simple changes that are going to already help our body. I've had people reach out to me like 2 weeks after working together. We have no labs. We have nothing we've really worked on except for some of this environmental stuff. And their symptoms are already reversing. Their skin is cleared up. They don't have headaches. One of my clients had 75% reduction in anxiety in 1 week of implementing some of this stuff. So really helpful. I'll be happy to give that to your audience.
Yeah,
Do you?
that would be awesome. So what do you see? Like, do you see different things in the air, like depending on where somebody lives? Do you see different things in water? And when you say water, are you talking about drinking water or shower water? Are you talking about like what are you talking about when you talk about this?
Everything, hours and hours and hours of content. But for example, let's go through a couple things about air. You said, like, what's in the air? We're making sure that their air is clean. Yes, we don't want to be breathing in allergens, bacteria, but what about VOCs, volatile organic compounds? Those are things like off-gassing from furniture, from flooring, cabinets, glues, paint on the walls. And I'm not going to ask you to go live in some secluded cabin with none of this stuff. But I'm going to tell you, hey, with this device, we can actually suck out all those VOCs so you don't have to deal with them. You can have the pretty modern house and not have to deal with the chemicals about it. So we're optimizing and up-leveling in that sense. Also, we're like circulating air. So I'm making sure that air in the house is circulated. I'm making sure that they're breathing correctly. A lot of people are breathing wrong, and that alone can be causing disease in their body. So we're doing breathing, so breathing training. So that, like, those are some things about air. And with water, it's not just your type of water. So drinking water, yes, I'm making sure that they're actually having good drinking water, because a lot of people are still using like refrigerator filters, pitchers, and they don't do a thing. Like, they take out a couple of the big bad guys and that's it. So we're really getting a good water filter system on board. It's what you're nourishing your body with every day. We don't sacrifice there.
Right.
We're teaching them how to drink their water correctly. So, like, even something really simple for your audience to know right now, people who sip water are chronically dehydrated. So if you have even if you're drinking 8 to 10 glasses of water a day, if you're sipping all day long, your cells stay shriveled and dehydrated. Whereas if when you get that thirst mechanism, you would just chug a big glass of water, you actually are hydrating your body and you become hydrated. So like something so simple as that. Chugging water also stimulates your vagus nerve, which stimulates your gut function and your mind, your brain. So it's like little things that, oh my gosh, if I just knew I should chug my water, that can make you healthier. That, you know, now that you have that knowledge, you're going to be implementing it daily and creating habits.
Yeah, that's awesome. One of the things that, I think about is, the first thing most people drink when they get up is they immediately drink coffee. So they wake up dehydrated and then they drink coffee, and then all of a sudden they're even more dehydrated than they were when they first got up. And so, people don't know just basic stuff like this, but they don't realize how bad it actually impacts their health and performance throughout the day. So, that's a huge thing that I see with a lot of clients myself.
Yeah, definitely. It's just little tiny sustainable changes. And really, when you get the environment all set up right, you don't have to think about it. When I wake up every day, I know my environment is non-toxic. I know that my body is anti-inflamed because I've created this lifestyle for myself.
Right. So what's something you see maybe in people's work environments that really affects them, not only in their performance, but just mental health and just getting distracted?
Well, even like the EMF, that's a portion, electromagnetic frequencies, it can be so simple as this. So one of my clients, top entrepreneur, he had his office all set up and his desktop, and you can check EMF through a device. So I shipped him my devices. We got on a Zoom call like this, and we were checking his levels, and we found out it was so high where he was sitting. So he was sitting here at his computer all day long being blasted by radiation, which causes inflammation, messes with your brain, messes with your metabolism, so much damage. And we test with our device, we could quantify, and we found out that if we just moved his desktop back a couple inches, it was literally like 2.5 inches, it went down to 0. Wow. Had he known that. So now he was at his computer doing his work, killing it in business and life, just with a little 2-inch switch. Now his body is not inflamed and bombarded by EMFs. It can be so simple, but he would not have known that had he not invested in his health, hired me, and done the work to want to look into optimizing his health. So it's all about, going the extra step. But that's something in your work environment that can be easily fixed.
Yeah. And then also we have that in our homes too, is, Wi-Fi is a huge thing. 5G, all these things, these are huge. right now. And a lot of people don't realize that, like, this is like a constant thing. If you're at work, if you're at home in front of a computer screen or even your iPhone, I have one of these testing devices, but it's funny how you can literally like turn it on. And if I move, 2 feet one direction or 2 inches one direction, how it literally, like you said, gets cut in half.
Mm-hmm.
But it's crazy, like how, our work environment, I went through and started like doing Ethernet on almost everything in my office to try to, even to my iPhone, is getting separate cables to where I'm like plugging it in Ethernet, because of that. And I've started noticing like a huge change just in that.
That's fantastic. Yes. And like another simple thing with that is just unplugging the Wi-Fi at night. You don't need to be soaking in, radiation and Wi-Fi all night long. So that's a very simple change. Is I have my clients go get like an automated power cord where every night at a certain time it turns off, and then in the morning it turns on. So you literally never have to think about it. It's off your brain. You know that your house is healthier. And it's just simple changes like that. Good for you for plugging in everything and getting rid of some Wi-Fi there.
Yeah. So there's one more thing that I think it was your detox retreat. What is that? Like, that looked pretty cool. Talk a
Yeah.
little bit about that.
Well, I think it's very important for people to get out of their environment to create change and grow. So what we do is we pull busy business owners and influencers and even just a busy mom out of their environment, and we put them in a beautiful tropical location where we can start working on detoxifying the body, the mind, the soul. So total relaxation, pamper services, organic, nutrient-dense foods. And if they choose to, they actually can do lab work prior to the trip so that they have me in person interpreting their lab work, giving them recommendations to set themselves up for success once they return home as well. It's a really cool experience.
Yeah, that's awesome. It looked amazing. So one of the things that me and my wife started doing is a marriage boot camp. We did our first one in June, but just to see the difference in couples that actually remove themselves out of, kids, business, and their environment, and then all of a sudden they can begin to kind of reconnect and work together. But like what I hear you say is a retreat is almost like reconnecting with yourself so you can be the best version of yourself when you go back to, everyday life.
Yeah, it's always about growth. I'm always growing as a person too, right? And
Yeah.
so are my clients. So it's a really great experience.
Awesome. Is there any habits that maybe somebody could do or start doing, just kind of based on what you talked about today?
Gosh, I guess if I had to boil it all down, one habit to start with, as far as feeling your best every day, is just to start eating real food. As simple as it sounds, a lot of people are still relying on packaged food, even if it's organic, non-GMO, gluten-free, vegan, whatever. It's still packaged, so it contains extra toxins. And the big thing is let's reduce toxins as much as possible and just eat real food so that our body, instead of focusing on breaking down and getting rid of those toxins and chemicals coming at it, it can focus on other things like accelerating your business, being a better mom, being a better husband. So that would be a really good first habit to just start making, is when you're at the grocery store thinking about, okay, buy real food, buy real food, buy real food, and just pick some real food to eat instead of relying on packaged goods.
So when you say real food, is there a certain thing that you put into that? Is it like one ingredient? Is it like, how do you actually measure real food for someone, or how could you explain that for someone?
Yeah, so the less processed, the better. So, for example, instead of buying like an apple fruit strip, like the package, like fruit strips that you can have as a snack, buy an apple, right? So little tiny changes like that. Instead of buying a granola bar at the store, buy some oats and make some oatmeal, put some chocolate chips in it, or make like little oat balls out of real ingredients yourself is very helpful. And if you do buy packaged goods for convenience, always check the ingredient label. The less ingredients, the better typically. And if you can't pronounce it on there, it probably shouldn't be going in your body. So like an ingredient label for popcorn, for example, should be popcorn, sea salt, maybe an oil like extra virgin olive oil or coconut oil. It shouldn't have like a lot of microwave popcorn bags, which I don't use microwave anyways, but a lot of people rely on that, say, as a work snack. If you look at those ingredients, it's not just popcorn. It's like 10 weird chemical things and like butter extracts and all this kind of stuff that you don't need in your popcorn. So just focusing on real ingredient labels.
Yeah, that's awesome. I always think of, thinking of like the one ingredient food, and people are like, what's that? I said, well, if it's got one ingredient, it's usually doesn't have any, anything written on it. It's just, you just grab it fresh and that's what you get. And they're kind of always like, that's usually on the outside of the stores, produce, and
yeah.
So
exactly.
Yeah, awesome. So what's kind of your plans, for the future?
Oh, wow. That's a big question. We have big plans coming up, actually. So I actually started this year business consulting as well. So I'm training a bunch of doctors, nurse practitioners, nutritionists to essentially do what I do. And so I'm mentoring them, which is very exciting. And I have a new partnership possibly that's coming up, and we're going to be really just taking over the NFL, really, really pro athlete scene, as well as a lot of more celebrities coming in. So just transforming the way that people think and value about their health and habits is really huge for us. And like, there are some really exciting things coming up that I can't tell you yet, but stay tuned, because there are a ton of things in the works for 2020 that we're excited about.
Okay, awesome. Well, I just want to tell you, I appreciate you being on here today. And if anybody wants to find out more about you, how can they do that?
Well, everything across boards is Maggie Berghoff, just my name. I'm really heavy on Instagram. That's my favorite platform, and I love connecting with you guys over there. So stop in and say hey. And then my website is maggieberghoff.com, and you can always send me a message there and just check it out and connect with me.
Okay, and if you guys are listening to this, I'll make sure I put a link in the show notes directly to Maggie's website. So, I want to thank you for being on here today. It's been a lot of fun getting to know you and just kind of your story and what you've done.
Cool. Thank you so much for having me, for your audience.
Yeah, you're welcome. So if you guys are looking to connect further with a group of like-minded people, join myself and so many others in the Habit-Based Lifestyle Secrets group on Facebook. This is where I'll be dropping daily habits to help you live to your full potential. If you want to be one of our next case studies and begin living this habit-based lifestyle, feel free to reach out to me. If you have questions, comments, or requests, contact me, Jesse at habitbasedlifestyle.com. Until next episode, have a great day.